A recent crime alert holds details of a sexual assault on the UNT campus.
First day of voting in Texas, how and where you can cast in your vote before everybody else.
A neighborhood pet slithering through a Texas neighborhood. We have more on the story.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Madison Myers.
And I'm Sydney Deshawn. The midterm elections are just over 2 weeks away and early voting numbers are surging. As of this morning, over 7 million ballots have already been cast across 39 states. November's voter turnout is expected to be higher than the midterm elections in 2018. So far, 50% of those early ballots were cast by Democrats, 32% by Republicans, and 19% for other parties. Early voting in Texas opened today, which means Denton residents can now cast their ballots by mail or in person at any polling location in the county. Anyone who is planning to vote in person must first present a valid form of ID. Texas currently accepts 7 forms of ID, including a Texas driver's license, a passport, and a military identification card. ntTV's Kyle Orr is out at the UNT Gateway Center with more on where and how you can vote in Denton County. Kyle?
Thanks, Sydney. I'm over here at UNT's Gateway Center, which is serving as the primary voting location for students who choose to vote early through November 4th. However, other locations nearby that host early voting include the Denton Civic Center, the MLK Junior Recreation Center, and Hubbard Hall at Texas Women's University. Voters are required to have an approved photo ID that is current or expired by no more than 4 years. But if you don't have one of the 7 approved forms of ID, you can fill out a reasonable impediment declaration accompanied by alternative forms of ID, including its original birth certificate, a paycheck, a Bates statement, or even a utility bill. So while knowing how and where to vote is important, it's not the only thing that voters need to keep an eye out for. Maddie, what can you tell us?
Well, Kyle, one watchdog group is warning voters that election misinformation is taking over the internet. In an experiment, the team from New York University says it pushed 20 false ads to several of the most popular social media platforms, and most of the ads were approved. They were designed to decrease voter turnout, with some falsely stating that voting days would be extended. However, the team pulled all of the ads before they were actually placed on the websites. In response, TikTok says it has recently taken steps to safeguard political content. Facebook says the study does not accurately represent the company's review process. Regardless, the takeaway is double-check the information you see on the internet.
Well, Maddie, I was actually studying for my midterm this morning, and I was so happy it was raining outside. I haven't seen rain in forever.
Neither was I, Sydney. I wonder if there will be any more rain in the forecast. Our weather anchor, Ryan Cantrell, can tell us more about what to expect. Ryan?
Well, I'll tell you guys what, I saw those storms as well, and there were some very high wind reports out in Decatur, 60 miles per hour winds, so hopefully everyone is okay in terms of wind. But let's take a look at what we're currently having here in Denton. Our temperature is right at 62 degrees, cloudy skies, and a feeling temperature of 61 degrees. Winds are to the southeast at 10 miles per hour. Now on to tonight. We will see some rain, particularly from 7 to 10 p.m. We have a marginal risk of some thunderstorms. Temperatures will dip to 59 degrees, feeling temperature at 55, and then winds will shift to the southwest at 9 miles per hour. On to tomorrow, we're going to see some completely clear skies. The cold front will have completely blown through, leaving dry conditions. Temperature will be 63 degrees, 60-degree feeling temperature, and northeast winds at 21 miles per hour. Now that's all I have for my first look weather forecast. Please stick around as I have more info regarding what's going to happen later this week in Denton in my full weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Ryan. Tonight, UNT police are still investigating an incident early last Wednesday morning. A student reported that she was sexually assaulted on campus. More information with Annabella Reza.
Thanks, Maddie. It was reported that she had a few drinks prior to the assault and believes she was drugged. It is still an active investigation, and we ask anyone that has any information to please come forward. Please contact the UNT Criminal Investigation Services at 940-565-3006 or call the anonymous line at 940-369-TIPS. To keep you and your friends safe, there are a few precautions y'all can take. These include immediately report any suspicious or dangerous activity to the police. If any situation feels wrong or dangerous, get away, call for help, and listen to your instincts. Don't accept a drink from someone else. And lastly, don't leave any drink unattended. Sexual assault is not the fault of the survivors. Only perpetrators can prevent these crimes. Sydney, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Annabelle. 2 people were killed in a shooting at the Methodist Dallas Medical Center this weekend. KDFW-TV reports that 2 employees, Jacqueline Pokwa and Annette Flowers, were shot on duty in the mother-baby unit. The suspect has been identified as Nestor Hernandez, a 30-year-old parolee with a lengthy criminal record. On Saturday morning, Hernandez was attending the birth of his child when a heated argument with his girlfriend got out of hand. He pulled a gun and shot the 2 employees before being injured by the hospital police officer. Hernandez is currently being treated at another hospital but has been charged with capital murder. New worries tonight. Hospitals across the country still might not see the end of COVID-19.
And schools are also still seeing the repercussions of COVID-19 and its impact on students. Find out how coming up.
And everyone from the day before voted for their favorite flavor. Everyone but you. You decided not to vote. The flavor they picked isn't the one that you wanted. But can you really complain? Shh! Now imagine that with an elected official.
Choose not to vote, choose not to be heard. Get registered today.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh? Eh?
A nationwide decline in math and reading scores comes as a wake-up call for school districts everywhere. This decline is a result of the recent COVID pandemic as well as the nationwide teacher shortage. What's the solution? CNN's Chris Wynn with more.
There's growing concern about the pandemic's impact on America's children as parents and educators pore over the latest results from the nation's report card.
We are on the cusp of losing a generation of our children.
The findings are based on the National Assessment of Educational Progress Reading and Math Exams, which are conducted by the National Center for Education Statistics, a branch of the U.S. Department of Education. The report looks specifically at 4th and 8th grade students and was the first since 2019.
So much of this is socioeconomic. Some districts fared much better than others, and unfortunately, due to zip code, is where you saw kids kind of get lost in the fray.
Afternoon, welcome.
More than 50 states and jurisdictions took part in the assessment, showing the largest decline in math scores since the initial trial in 1990, according to the center's commissioner. In fact, no state or large urban district showed improvements in math, with some decline also showing up in reading scores.
If this is not a wake-up call for us to double down our efforts and improve education, even before it was before the pandemic, then I don't know what will.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona believes the results are partly a symptom of decades of underinvestment, but says part of the solution is to provide better compensation for teachers.
Let's start honoring the profession, making sure we're paying our professionals a competitive salary, and we're not going to deal with shortages.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
You may think the threat of COVID-19 is over, but new variants gaining traction around the world, and U.S. health officials are worried about a winter surge here at home. CNN's Mandy Gaither has more on what are being called Scrabble variants and whether the updated boosters are expected to protect against them.
In the U.S., the Omicron subvariant BA.5 remains the current cause of most reported cases, but new COVID-19 variants are continuing to spread.
There's all these numbers and letters and all that. Peter Hotez calls them the Scrabble variants because they have these unusual letters now.
Health experts say we can expect a surge with the cooler, drier weather that's to come, but how big of a jump in cases in the U.S. hinges on these new variants, which lumped together accounted for nearly 1 in 3 new COVID-19 infections last week, according to the latest CDC estimates.
So we'll see by mid-November, for example, do they start to take over and become sort of the dominant strain?
Right now, there's a drop in U.S. COVID-19 cases, but
there's always a lull and sort of a downturn before you see some of these significant surges.
the new variants are offshoots of Omicron, so health experts say the updated booster will provide enough protection against them.
While they are different, they're not different enough to say, hey, look, they're just going to evade immunity.
However, many antibody treatments are based on some of the original strains of the coronavirus.
So if you're someone who counts on getting an antibody treatment, that's probably not going to be as effective against these new strains for that reason.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
But along with the expected rise of COVID-19 cases, there are other viruses to be cautious about this winter season. Along with COVID, there is a resurgence of the flu and a third virus called RSV in the mix. Crystal Prentice has more for information on what is being called a triple-demic. Crystal?
Between COVID, the flu, and the respiratory syncytial virus, we could be in for a triple-demic this winter. As far as the cases go, COVID, the flu, and RSV are all seeing equal numbers. It's normal for the flu cases to rise during the winter seasons, but cases have already begun to tick up earlier than expected and to get worse over the coming weeks. Coronavirus cases are said to be low right now, but are beginning to rise in some parts of the country. An RSV vaccine isn't available for us just yet, but it is important to get the flu and COVID shot. Although it doesn't completely prevent you from getting the virus, it lowers your risk of severe infection or death. Go get your flu shot and stay safe this winter. Back to you at the desk.
You know, Sydney, with Halloween coming up, I just have no clue what to wear. The weather has been all over the place.
I know, it's been rainy, it's been cold. I have no idea what to expect over the next few days, but Ryan, our weather anchor, probably knows what's going on in the weather world. Ryan?
Thanks, guys. I do know exactly what's going on with our weather right now, but first, let's take a look at our beautiful scene we got here on the Apogee Cam. Mostly cloudy skies. We have a bit of wind, but not really too much in terms of action. We will get some rain possibly tonight, but temperature-wise across North Texas, pretty much all of the same across the board. We have a lot of 63s like Sherman and McKinney at 63. We have Dallas at 65, Fort Worth at 64. Now across the state, we're going to see a little bit more variation. In fact, we can also tell what the cold front is, but it is 56 in Oklahoma, 82 in Austin, 81 in Houston, and 82 in Shreveport, 58 in El Paso, and look at Amarillo out there chilling at 41. But this is where we can see the cold front, and it is about right here. If you can notice a huge difference in temperatures, and that is going to slowly sweep across Texas tonight. But let's look at our 7-day forecast for the week for Denton. And tomorrow and Wednesday, we have completely clear skies. Once the cold front blows through, it's just going to leave some high pressure and dry conditions. High of 68 tomorrow, high of 71 tomorrow, and lows in the 40s and 50s. Thursday, we're going to see partly cloudy skies, but Thursday night, we're going to have another cold front blow through, and along with it, rain chances into Friday morning. Friday, we'll have a high of 63 and a 50% chance of rain. Saturday, Sunday, we're going to have those clear conditions again. And for Halloween Monday, we're going to have cloudy skies, 73 degrees, and a low of 45. That should be pretty comfortable for the holiday. There has been some research indicating some rain. However, it is too far out to confirm. But that is all I have for my full weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Ryan. I think we're all very excited for Halloween this year, but we have to remember to keep ourselves and others safe. Denton is home to many families and college students who will all be out for Halloween. But whether you're trick-or-treating or not, there are some general safety rules that everyone will be expected to follow. ntTV's Isabella Quintanilla spoke with the public information officer for the Denton Police Department to find out what recommendation they have for college students.
I mean, the big thing that's out of the ordinary is you've got a lot of kids, a lot of adults walking across the street, going trick-or-treating from house to house. So really one of the bigger safety concerns is that there's more traffic in the streets, often in neighborhoods. So when it comes to trick-or-treaters, we recommend that trick-or-treaters stay on the sidewalk, use the crosswalks, and still follow all safety laws, but at the same time, we also ask that drivers be cognizant of the fact that there still might be some people in the roadways that normally wouldn't be, and to drive slower, especially through neighborhoods.
The Denton PD also provided some great tips on how to keep yourself and everyone else safe when you go out for Halloween. The first step is to always be sure to walk in a group whenever you go out. Next, try to wear bright or reflective items or clothing with your costume so that drivers can easily spot you at night. Make sure to always use crosswalks, following all the signals, and to watch out for cars that may not see you. Finally, if you're driving on Halloween night, always be on alert for pedestrians and other drivers, and never drive while under the influence. If you plan to go out this Halloween, be sure to remember these tips and have a safe and happy Halloween.
Now, with Halloween coming to a start, the state fair has finally come to an end. We have the final tallies and much more.
Now, the Cowboys sure are tallying up their wins. How Doc's return was a pleasant treat for many Cowboys fans.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh? Eh?
Well, the last corn dog has been eaten, the last Ferris wheel ride taken, and we've heard the last howdy from Big Tex. The Great State Fair of Texas closed its doors yesterday. The fair is all about supporting the community, and Texans really showed up this year. Organizers say nearly 2.5 million people experienced the fair's 24-day run. During that time, the fair sold about 583,000 corn dogs and gave away over 430,000 plus prizes, but it also meant good news for local charities. Fair attendees brought in more than 280,000 pounds of canned food, which is an increase of 80,000 pounds from last year. We here at ntTV had so much fun bringing you updates and are already looking forward to next year.
Well, the state fair will come and go, but there are other things y'all can visit right here on UNT's campus.
Yeah, like the community garden over by Legends Hall or other green-friendly spots. Our segment anchor Kelsey Clark can tell us more about that. Kelsey?
Thanks, Sydney and Maddie. UNT's campus may be mean and green, but can it get any greener? I had the opportunity to talk to the We Mean Green Fund to answer that question.
Ever since its founding in 2008, the We Mean Green Fund has been advocating for living green and building an even greener campus. The organization's mission is to empower UNT students, faculty, and staff to improve the institution through campus projects that embody passion and spirit for environmental sustainability. These projects range from holding events for students to supporting natural gardens on campus.
There's the community garden, which is one of the more popular ones. One of the newer ones is the Let's Chat Zero Waste. It's like you put in a coin, or you pay like $5 for a coin, you put it in the machine and you get a box to get food from the campus chat.
To get their funding, the We Mean Green Fund receives money from students who opt in to a $5 fee.
The money goes to us and then we review different student projects to go on campus.
The fund is now the only organization that is offering sustainable options to students on campus.
There's no longer a sustainability department at UNT, so the We Mean Green Fund is kind of the only thing that's doing sustainable things on campus.
The We Mean Green Fund is always looking for new projects to support. To find guidelines on how to get your project funded, visit the fund's website. That's all from me. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Kelsey. Well, folks in one Houston neighborhood are really asking a Where's Waldo question, but in this case, it's more than a game. It seems there is a slithery critter loose in the area, and puppies and cats are at risk. We get more on the hunt for this wandering Waldo from Brittany Ford.
A Nextdoor post on the Briar Forest Drive page has got people in this townhome community talking.
It's been a week, but I mean, I think nobody has seen it after the...
Snakes are scary. To me, pythons anyway.
Clayton Lee says board members alerted homeowners of the nearly 12-foot-long python sighting last week.
I was told they came out, they searched for the snake, were unsuccessful in finding the snake, and then put snake repellent on the 15 units that were closest to where it was spotted a few nights.
He says the unsuccessful efforts has got some on edge.
A lot of people are just kind of upset about what's possible here. I was afraid for my 19-and-a-half-year-old kitty, Dylan.
This girl here is about 6 years old.
So we went to the experts.
This is definitely a pet that someone either lost or released.
Nick Louie, owner of Houston Underground Animals, says the snake pictured is a carpet python. He says the non-venomous snakes are not aggressive in nature.
Well, I have never held a snake of any type before, so I will say she is calm. I don't feel, aggression.
Still, he suggests anyone who spots the snake to contact a professional.
It's been free, it's been out of the cage, so if you're just a regular person, I would not suggest going and grabbing it.
And be mindful of small pets.
You gotta realize it's a pet, it's used to people just putting food in front of it. So if it's sitting there and someone's pet runs in front of it, it's gonna think it's food.
We love him.
People in the community hoping the scaly, slithery, unwanted new neighbor turns up soon.
We never know if it's hiding somewhere or if it's already gone.
I just hope everybody's pets are safe.
Brittany Ford, KHOU 11 News.
Well, Sydney, I have to say that was a pretty interesting story, but what's even more interesting is how great the Cowboys played last night. I have to say Dak's return was well worth the wait.
Definitely, Maddie. It was such a relief to have our starting QB back in the game. Our sports anchor, Brandon Brumworth, can tell us more about Dak's big return. Brandon?
I'll get to the Cowboys here in a second, and I'll also talk about the most attended race in Grand Prix history with a win. And how about a win against FC Dallas? Celebrate this past weekend coming up.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, man. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
In a game that had everyone anticipating Dak Prescott's return to the offense, it was the other side of the ball that showed up most for Dallas. The Cowboys defense proved yet again that it's one of the best in the NFL, allowing only 2 field goals to the Lions in their 24-6 win. The Lions were up 6-3 going into the half, and against the worst defense in the league, Dak looked just as rusty as he did in Week 1 against Tampa. Thankfully, the defense forced 5 turnovers in the second half, and Dak started to get into a groove as he completed all but 1 pass to close out the game. There's no denying this game was only won because of the Cowboys' defense. And if the Cowboys want to continue to win against teams, Dak and the offense will have to be much better than what we've seen so far. The Texas Rangers officially introduced manager Bruce Bochy this morning. Longtime Rangers fans might recognize the name, as Bochy was the manager of the San Francisco Giants when they beat the Rangers back in 2010. However, Rangers fans will have to get over that quickly, as this is one of the most exciting manager hires in the club's history. Bochy brings so much experience to the club, over 2,000 wins and 3 World Series titles on his resume. Hopefully, the Rangers can now get back to contention. Last night, FC Dallas was eliminated in the Western Conference semifinals. The team fell behind early but never recovered, losing the game 2-1 to Austin FC. The lone goal for FC Dallas came off the foot of 20-year-old winger Alan Velasco, who scored the final goal of penalty kicks to advance to this game. This was the first time that Austin FC has beaten FC Dallas in their young history. With a weekend attendance of 440,000 people, the United States Grand Prix in Austin became the best attended F1 race in U.S. history, and the second most for any Grand Prix ever, showing just how much the motorsport has exploded in popularity over the last couple of years in the U.S. Max Verstappen of Red Bull Racing dominated the race, bringing both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship to Red Bull. With the first American driver in decades and Logan Sargent potentially being on the verge of being signed and 3 races slated for next year in the U.S., the sport shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. That's all for sports. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Brandon. A hero, a villain, one thing is for sure, the godly figure known as Black Adam is here to stay in the DCEU and in theaters. CNN's Rick Damigella has more on this movie.
Lyle Crocodile crawled back 2 spots this week to 5th place on ticket sales of $4.2 million. Halloween Ends dropped from 1st place down to 4th with $8 million, as Smile went from 2nd to 3rd with $8.4 million.
Mom, Dad, this is G'day.
George Clooney and Julia Roberts' latest rom-com, Ticket to Paradise, brought in $16.3 million, good enough for a ticket to a 2nd place debut.
I kneel before no one.
And the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the box office is Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson's overpowered anti-hero fought off all contenders to dominate 1st place with a $67 million opening, marking Johnson's biggest debut as leading man. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Maddie, all I have to say is I'm definitely going to check out that movie later tonight, but it does look a little bit spooky.
Me too, Sydney, but I've definitely been looking for something to watch this Halloween, so I might as well go.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, y'all, for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night at 6 here on North Texas Television.